The emergency lights flashed red across the medical station. Dr. Vexhai moved his forearms quickly as he read the message on his screen. His crystal-like eyes changed color from blue to worried orange. This was bad. Very bad. All medical staff to Emergency Base 7, he said into his communication device. His voice shook a little. In his 20 years as head doctor, he had never seen anything like this. The Galactic Coalition medical station was the best in this part of space. Doctors from 50 different worlds worked here. They had treated everything from tiny Flixians to giant rock people. But this was different. A ship had just arrived with a patient that made everyone afraid. A void stalker from the death world, Nyx Terra. These creatures were legends. Stories told to scare children. They were 12 feet tall with claws that could cut through metal. Their minds could make other beings feel pure terror. They hunted across entire star systems, and now one was dying in their medical bay. Dr. Vexhai walked fast through the white halls. Other doctors moved past him, all heading to the same place. He could smell their fear. Even the brave Corvin guards looked worried. Their thick skin was pale, and their hands shook on their weapons. When the doors to Medical Base 7 opened, chaos hit them like a wave. The smell came first. It was sharp and bitter, like metal and lightning. Then came the sound, a low growling that seemed to come from inside their heads. Everyone who heard it wanted to run. The Void Stalker lay on the biggest medical table they had. Even then, its legs hung over the edge. Its black fur was wet with purple blood. Long claws scratched marks in the metal table as it moved. Its eyes were yellow like burning stars. Dr. Kesra, a snake-like Syndrian, backed away from the table. "I cannot get close," she said. Her forked tongue tasted the air, and she hissed. "My mind. It fills with death visions." The Corvin security chief, Grom, tried to step forward. He was 8 feet tall and had fought in 3 wars. But after 2 steps toward the creature, he stopped. His face went white. "It knows my fears," he whispered. "It sees how I will die." Dr. Vexhai tried to scan the creature with his medical tools, but his hands would not stop shaking. Every time he got close, pictures filled his mind. Dark images of being hunted, of running through black space with something terrible behind him. The Voidstalker was not trying to scare them. "This was just what happened when you got near one. We need to help it," Dr. Vexhai said. But even as he spoke, he could not move closer. None of them could. More doctors arrived. Dr. Thrain from the Ice World. Velkos tried to use his freezing abilities to slow the bleeding. But the cold air around the creature just made it angry. Its growling got louder. 2 nurses fainted. Dr. Yixta, who had 6 eyes and could see heat, tried to read the creature's body temperature from far away. "Internal bleeding," she said. "Maybe damage to the heart chambers. Without surgery soon, it will die." But no one could get close enough to help. The Void Stalker's breathing became harder. Purple blood pooled on the floor. Its yellow eyes looked around the room, seeing all the scared faces. For a moment, Dr. Vexhai thought he saw something in those eyes. Not anger or hunger. Something else. Something almost like sadness. "Call every department," he ordered. "Ask if anyone can help. Anyone who might be able to get close to this creature." His assistant, a small blue Quillos, sent messages to every part of the station. Engineering said no. Security said no. Even the robots stopped working when they got near the creature. The fear was too strong. Dr. Vexhai watched the blood flow from the creature's wounds. In all his years as a doctor, he had never felt so helpless. They had machines that could regrow entire organs. They had medicines that could cure any disease. But they could not help this patient because they could not get close enough to touch it. "Sir," said his assistant, "there is one more department. The small animal medical bay." Dr. Vexhai's orange eyes looked confused. What could they do? "They only work on pets and tiny creatures. There is a human there, Dr. Chen. She works with the animals that bite." A human. Dr. Vexhai had heard of humans but never worked with one. They came from a world called Earth that most people said was too dangerous. Stories said it was full of poison plants and killer animals. Most aliens thought humans were still too primitive to do real medicine. But what choice did they have? "Send for her," he said. While they waited, the Voidstalker got worse. Its breathing came in short gasps. The fear smell got stronger. Even the bravest doctors had to leave the room. Only Dr. HFY stayed, watching from behind a thick glass wall. When Dr. Sarah Chen arrived, Dr. HFY was surprised. She was small, even for a human, maybe 5.5 feet tall with brown hair tied back. She wore a simple medical coat with stains on it. She looked nothing like the other doctors with their special equipment and bright colors. "You called for help?" she asked. Her voice was calm. Dr. HFY pointed through the glass. "That is a void stalker. It is dying. None of us can get close. The fear. It is too strong." Dr. Chen looked through the glass at the creature. Dr. HFY waited for her to back away in terror like everyone else. Instead, she moved closer to the glass. She watched the creature for a long time. "It is scared," she said finally. "Scared?" Dr. HFY could not believe it. That creature has killed thousands. It hunts for fun. What could it be scared of? Dr. Chen watched the creature try to breathe. She saw how it looked around the room at all the afraid faces. It is dying among strangers who fear it. It is hurt and confused and far from home. Of course it is scared. She turned to Dr. HFY. "I need you to clear the room. Everyone out except me. That is not safe. It could kill you." Dr. Chen smiled a little. "Doctor, I have worked with grizzly bears, poisonous snakes, and sharks. Sometimes the most dangerous patients are just the most scared ones." She picked up a medical kit and walked toward the door to the medical bay. Dr. HFY watched in shock as the small human prepared to enter the room with the most feared predator in the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the door to Medical Bay 7. Behind her, all the alien doctors watched through the safety glass. She could see the fear in their eyes. Even Dr. HFY, who had been a doctor for 20 years, looked worried. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. HFY asked through the communication system. "We can try to find another way." Sarah looked at the creature lying on the table. The Voidstalker was huge and covered in black fur. Its claws were longer than her fingers. Its teeth could bite through steel, but she had seen something the others missed. "Look at its body position," she said. "See how it keeps its head low? And watch its claws. They are not out to attack. They are gripping the table because it is afraid of falling." The other doctors looked confused. Dr. Kesra, the snake doctor, shook her head. "Those are signs of a predator ready to kill." Sarah smiled a little. "On Earth. Maybe. But I have worked with Earth's biggest predators. This is not attack behavior. This is fear behavior." She opened the door and stepped inside. The smell hit her right away. Sharp and bitter. Like metal and electricity. She breathed slowly and stayed calm. On Earth, she had worked with grizzly bears during mating season. She had treated poisonous snakes that could kill with one bite. Fear was something she had learned to control. The Voidstalker's head turned toward her. Its yellow eyes locked onto hers. Sarah felt something touch her mind. It was like cold fingers trying to find her worst memories. She had heard about this. Voidstalkers could read thoughts and make people see their biggest fears, but instead of fighting it, Sarah let the creature look into her mind. She thought about good memories. Times when she had helped hurt animals. The feeling of saving a life. The trust in an animal's eyes when the pain went away. The creature's growling stopped. Its yellow eyes looked surprised. "Hello there," Sarah said in a soft voice. She moved slowly, keeping her hands where the creature could see them. "I know you are hurt. I know you are scared. I am here to help." She moved closer to the table. Behind the glass, she could hear the alien doctors talking in worried voices. Dr. HFY was telling security to get ready to break down the door, but Sarah was not afraid. She had learned something important working with Earth animals. The most dangerous creatures were often just the most frightened ones. A scared grizzly bear would attack anything that moved. A hurt shark would bite whatever came close. But if you showed them you were not a threat, if you moved calmly and spoke softly, sometimes they would let you help. "You are from Nixterra," she said to the creature. "I have read about your world. All darkness and sharp rocks. Sounds like a hard place to live." The Void Stalker watched her with those burning yellow eyes. Sarah could feel its mind touching hers again, but gentler this time. It was not trying to scare her. It was trying to understand her. "I am from Earth," she continued, moving another step closer. "My world is dangerous too, full of things that bite and sting and hunt. But I learned something about dangerous things. Usually, they do not want to hurt you. They just want you to stay away from them." She was next to the table now. This close, she could see the creature's wounds better. Deep cuts across its chest. Purple blood flowing freely. Its breathing was getting weaker. "You need surgery," she said. "But first, I need to stop this bleeding." Sarah reached slowly for her medical kit. The creature's head followed her movement, but it did not try to attack. She pulled out some gauze and medicine to help with pain. "This might sting a little," she said, just like she would with any animal patient. She pressed the gauze against the biggest wound. The creature made a low sound, but it did not move away. Sarah felt its mind touch hers again. This time, she could sense something like surprise, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of trust. Behind the glass, the alien doctors watched in amazement. Dr. Thrain, the Ice World doctor, leaned forward. "How is she doing that? The creature should be attacking her." Dr. Vex's High watched Sarah work. She moved with calm confidence, talking to the creature like it was just another patient. "She is treating it like an animal, not a monster." "But it is a monster," said Dr. Kesra. "Void stalkers have destroyed entire colonies." "Maybe," said Dr. Vex High. "But right now it is just a hurt patient." Sarah continued working. She cleaned the wounds and gave the creature medicine for pain. All the time, she kept talking in that same soft voice. She told it about Earth animals, about the time she helped a mountain lion with a broken leg, about the shark that let her remove a hook from its mouth. "Animals are not really that different," she said. "They all want the same things: food, safety, and to not be in pain, even the scariest ones." The creature's yellow eyes never left her face. Sarah could feel its mind in hers, but now it felt different. Not cold and scary. More like curious, like it was trying to understand how she could be so calm. "The thing about Earth," Sarah continued as she worked, "is that it made us good at reading animals. We had to be. Our world was full of things that could eat us. So we learned to tell the difference between an animal that wants to fight and one that is just scared." She finished cleaning the wounds and looked at the creature's breathing. Still too fast. Still too weak. The real damage was inside. "I need to do surgery," she told the creature. "It will help you feel better, but I need to put you to sleep first. Do you understand?" The creature looked at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, it lowered its head to the table. Sarah felt something through the mental connection. It was hard to describe in human words, but it felt like the creature was saying, "I trust you." Sarah prepared the sleeping medicine. Her hands were steady and sure. Behind the glass, every doctor on the station watched in silence. They had all thought the human was too primitive to help, but she was doing something none of them could do. She was treating the most feared predator in the galaxy, and it was letting her. "Sleep now," Sarah said as she gave the creature the medicine. "When you wake up, you will feel much better." The Void Stalker's yellow eyes slowly closed. Its breathing became deep and steady. For the first time since it arrived, the fierce smell in the room began to fade. Sarah looked through the glass at all the watching doctors. "Now I need some help. Who knows the most about surgery?" "Doctor." Vex High could not believe what he was seeing. The human doctor stood calmly next to the sleeping Void Stalker, checking her medical tools. The fear smell that had filled the room was almost gone. The creature that had terrified an entire medical station was breathing peacefully. I need 3 assistants, Sarah said through the communication system. And someone who knows alien anatomy. Dr. Vexhai looked around at his staff. Most of them were still shaking. Dr. Kesra, the snake doctor, spoke first. I will help. I have studied predator anatomy. Dr. Thrain stepped forward too. My ice powers can help control bleeding during surgery. Dr. Yixta, with her 6 heat-seeing eyes, nodded. I can monitor the creature's body temperature and heart rate. Sarah smiled. Good. But remember, when you come in, move slowly. Stay calm. This creature can read emotions even while sleeping. If you are afraid, it will feel that fear and might wake up angry. The 3 alien doctors entered the medical bay carefully. Sarah watched their faces. She could see they were still scared, but they were trying to be brave. That was enough. First, let me explain what I found, Sarah said as she pointed to the creature's wounds. These cuts are not the main problem. The real damage is inside. I think one of its hearts is torn. Hearts? Dr. Vexhai asked through the speaker. It has more than one? Sarah nodded. From what I can tell, this species has 2 hearts. Just like Earth sharks. One pumps blood to the body, the other pumps blood to the brain. Very smart design for a predator. She made a careful cut in the creature's chest. Purple blood flowed out, but not as much as expected. Dr. Thrain used his ice powers to freeze the small bleeding vessels closed. See this? Sarah pointed inside the chest. The second heart is damaged. In Earth animals, this would mean brain death very quickly. But this creature has backup systems. Dr. Kesra moved closer, her fear slowly turning to scientific interest. How do you know so much about its anatomy? Void stalkers have never been studied before. Sarah smiled as she worked. Because all predators are similar in some ways. On Earth, I have worked with sharks, big cats, bears, and birds of prey. They all need certain things. Strong hearts, good eyes, quick reflexes. This creature is just a bigger version of the same design. She pointed to different parts of the creature's body as she explained, Look at these muscles. Just like Earth's big cats, built for jumping and grabbing, these claws work like eagle talons, made for holding prey. Even the teeth are similar to Earth's carnivores. Dr. Yixta used her heat vision to watch the creature's body temperature. Its brain activity is very high for a sleeping creature. Sarah paused in her surgery. She had noticed this too. The creature's mind was still active, still touching hers gently. I think it is listening to us. Even asleep, it can sense what is happening around it. She spoke directly to the sleeping creature. I know you can hear me. We are fixing your heart now. You will feel better soon. The creature's brain activity became calmer. Dr. Yixta looked amazed. How did you do that? Earth predators are very smart, Sarah explained as she continued the surgery. Much smarter than most people think. A hurt wolf will remember who helped it. A rescued eagle will sometimes bring gifts to the human who saved it. Intelligence and emotion are not separate things. She worked carefully on the damaged heart. The organ was complex, with multiple chambers and strange purple blood vessels. But the basic design was familiar. She had repaired similar hearts in Earth's marine predators. Dr. Chen. Doctor. Vexhai's voice came through the speaker. How did humans learn to work with such dangerous creatures? Most species stay far away from their world's predators. Sarah smiled as she stitched the heart muscle back together. Because humans are predators. We hunt in groups, we use tools, we plan ahead, but we also know what it feels like to be prey. Early humans had to hide from bigger, stronger hunters. We learned to understand both sides. Dr. Kesra watched Sarah's hands move with practiced skill. You make it sound like you are related to these dangerous animals. In a way, we are, Sarah said. Humans survived by learning from other predators. We copied the pack hunting of wolves. We learned patience from big cats. We used the tool skills of apes. Every dangerous animal taught us something. She finished repairing the heart and moved to the second one. This one was less damaged but still needed work. The difference is, we also learned empathy. A wolf only cares about its pack. A shark only cares about food. But humans learn to care about creatures that are different from us. As she worked, something interesting happened. The creature's mind touched hers more strongly. But instead of trying to scare her, it was sharing something else. Images of its home world, dark mountains under alien stars, other creatures like itself, hunting in groups through black forests. It is showing me its memories, Sarah said quietly. Its world, its family, I think. I think it is trying to thank me. Dr. Thrain watched ice crystals form around his hands as he controlled the bleeding. How can you tell what it is thinking? The same way I read any animal, Sarah said. Body language, brain patterns, emotional signals. Fear smells different from anger. Pain sounds different from hunger. Once you learn the patterns, all intelligent creatures speak the same basic language. She finished the surgery and began closing the chest wound. The creature's breathing was stronger now, more steady. Its brain activity showed healthy sleep patterns. On Earth, we have a saying, Sarah said as she worked. The eyes are the window to the soul. It means you can understand anyone by looking into their eyes. Even something that seems completely alien. Dr. Yixta checked the creature's temperature again. All systems are normal. The surgery was successful. Sarah stepped back and cleaned her hands. The Void Stalker lay peacefully on the table, its chest rising and falling in a strong rhythm. The wounds were closed, the bleeding had stopped, and its two hearts beat in perfect sync. It will sleep for a few more hours, Sarah said. When it wakes up, it will be confused and maybe a little scared. But it will also remember that we helped it. Dr. Vex High's voice came through the speaker again. Dr. Chen, what you did today. None of us thought it was possible. How do we thank you? Sarah looked at the sleeping creature and smiled. You do not thank me. You learn from this. There are probably thousands of species in the galaxy that your medical teams cannot treat because you are afraid of them. But fear is just another emotion, and emotions can be understood. She gathered her tools and prepared to leave. But before she reached the door, she felt something in her mind. The creature was still asleep, but its thoughts reached out to her one more time. This time, the feeling was clear and unmistakable. Gratitude, trust, and something that felt like friendship. Sarah touched the creature's large paw gently. Rest well, big guy. When you wake up, maybe we can be friends. Behind the glass, every doctor on the station watched in silence. They had all learned something today about courage, understanding, and the power of seeing beyond fear to the individual underneath. 3 hours later, the medical station was buzzing with activity. Word had spread quickly through all the departments. A human doctor had successfully operated on a void stalker, something that every expert said was impossible. Dr. Vex High called an emergency meeting in the main conference room. Doctors from every species gathered to hear what had happened. Sarah sat at the front table, looking tired but happy. Behind her, through the large window, they could see the medical bay where the Void Stalker was starting to wake up. Before we begin, Doctor, Vex High said to the crowd, I want everyone to understand something. Today, Dr. Chen did not just save a patient. She showed us that we have been thinking about medicine in the wrong way. Dr. Kesra raised her hand. Dr. Chen, I have to ask. How did you stay calm? When I got close to that creature, my mind filled with images of death. Even through the glass, I could barely think straight. Sarah leaned back in her chair. That is a good question. And the answer tells us something important about humans and Earth. She stood up and walked to the front of the room. How many of you have studied Earth in school? A few hands went up. Dr. Thrain spoke first. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. We learned that it is too dangerous for most species to visit. That is correct, Sarah nodded. But do you know why it is so dangerous? Dr. Yixta answered with her 6 eyes focused on Sarah. Poison plants? Extreme weather? Natural disasters. And predators. Lots of predators. Exactly, Sarah said. Earth has more predator species than any other known world. In the ocean alone, we have great white sharks, killer whales, giant squid, box jellyfish, and hundreds of others. On land, we have grizzly bears, lions, tigers, wolves, poisonous snakes, crocodiles, and thousands more. The room was quiet. Most of these doctors came from worlds with one or two dangerous species at most, Sarah continued. But here is the interesting part. All these predators live on the same world. They compete with each other. They hunt each other. And in the middle of all this, humans evolved. Dr. Vexhai tilted his crystal head. How did humans survive? You are not the biggest or strongest predators, Sarah smiled. We survived by becoming the smartest. Early humans could not outrun a lion or outfight a bear, so we learned to understand them instead. We studied their behavior. We learned when they were hungry, when they were scared, when they were protecting their babies. She walked over to the window and pointed at the Void Stalker, which was now sitting up and looking around with alert yellow eyes. Every species here evolved on worlds where they only had to understand one or two types of dangerous animals. But humans had to understand hundreds. We developed pattern recognition abilities that let us read the emotions and intentions of creatures that could kill us. Dr. Kesra looked confused. But why did humans not just avoid the predators like most intelligent species do? Because we could not, Sarah explained. Earth is a crowded world. There was nowhere to hide. Humans had to share water sources with crocodiles. We had to gather food in forests full of bears and big cats. We had to fish in oceans full of sharks. She turned back to the group. So, we learned something unique in the galaxy. We learned to coexist with apex predators. We developed the ability to communicate with creatures that most species run from. Dr. Thrain's ice-colored skin turned thoughtful blue. That explains your behavior with the Void Stalker. You treated it like you had met its kind before. In a way, I had, Sarah said. Territorial behavior is territorial behavior. Fear responses are fear responses. Whether it is an Earth grizzly bear or an alien Void Stalker, the basic patterns are the same. Through the window, they could see the Void Stalker looking around the medical bay. It seemed calm, but alert. Its yellow eyes kept looking toward the door, as if it was waiting for something. It is looking for you, Dr. Yixta observed. Its heat signature shows elevated brain activity focused on the doorway, Sarah nodded. Predators form bonds with individuals who help them. On Earth, there are many stories of wild animals returning to help humans who saved their lives. Intelligence creates memory, and memory creates loyalty. Dr. Vexhai stood up from his chair. Dr. Chen, what you are describing, it changes everything. We have medical databases full of species that are considered untreatable because they are too dangerous or too aggressive. Probably not aggressive, Sarah corrected. Probably just scared or in pain. A hurt animal acts differently than a healthy one. Fear makes any creature more dangerous. She looked around the room at all the alien doctors. Think about it. How many patients have you been unable to help because you could not get close to them? How many species avoid galactic medicine because they do not trust beings who are afraid of them? Dr. Kesra's snake-like tongue flicked out as she thought. The spike wolves from Delta Prime. The crystal bears from Vega 7. The shadow cats from the Void Nebula. All of them refuse medical treatment. All predator species, Dr. Thrain added. We always assumed they were too violent for modern medicine. Sarah shook her head. Not violent. Just not understood. Earth taught humans that every creature, no matter how dangerous, has needs and emotions. Pain, fear, loneliness, gratitude. These feelings exist in all intelligent life. She walked back to the window. The Void Stalker had stood up and was moving carefully around the medical bay, testing its repaired body. Its movements were fluid and strong. Humans learned something else important. Sarah continued. We learned that showing weakness can sometimes be strength. When I went into that room, I was not trying to dominate the creature or show it who was boss. I was showing it that I trusted it not to hurt me. That seems very dangerous, Dr. Vexhai said. It is, Sarah agreed. But so is everything worth doing. Earth humans learned that sometimes you have to risk being hurt to help someone else. We call it courage. But it is really just empathy in action. A soft chime sounded through the room. Dr. Yixta checked her instruments. The patient is fully awake and appears to be looking for something specific. Through the window, they could see the Void Stalker standing by the door. It made a low sound, not threatening but almost questioning. Sarah looked at the group of doctors. I should go check on my patient. But I want to ask you all something. Are you ready to learn a new way of practicing medicine? One that includes understanding emotions as much as biology. Dr. Vexhai's crystal eyes changed to a bright, excited green. Dr. Chen, I think you just solved one of the biggest problems in galactic medicine. When can you start teaching us? Sarah smiled and headed for the door. Right now. Let's go meet a grateful patient and see if we can make a new friend. As they walked toward the medical bay, every doctor felt something they had never experienced before. They were excited to meet a creature that had terrified them just hours ago. Because now they understood that underneath all that fear, there was just another patient who needed their help. 6 months later, the Galactic Coalition medical station looked very different. The small animal medical wing had been expanded into the new Dangerous Species Medical Protocol Department. Dr. Sarah Chen now had her own team of doctors from 12 different worlds, all learning what humans called predator psychology. And on Sarah. And Sarah walked through the halls, checking on her patients. In room 7, a crystal bear from Vega 7 was resting after heart surgery. 2 months ago, no doctor would go near these creatures. Now, Dr. Thrain was using his ice powers to keep the bear comfortable, while Dr. Kesra monitored its vital signs. In room 12, a pack of spike wolves were being treated for a rare blood disease. The pack leader, a massive creature with silver fur and metal-hard spikes along its back, watched calmly as alien doctors moved around his family. He trusted them because Sarah had taught him that healers were different from hunters. But room 7 still held Sarah's most important patient. She walked through the door and smiled at the sight before her. The Void Stalker was sitting in the middle of the room, surrounded by 3 young doctor trainees. They were not afraid. Instead, they were listening carefully as the creature communicated through its telepathic abilities. Good morning, Nix, Sarah said to the Void Stalker. She had named him after his home world. The huge predator's yellow eyes brightened when he saw her. A warm feeling touched her mind. Happiness, gratitude, and something like affection. Nix had chosen to stay at the medical station after his recovery. He had become the first Void Stalker ambassador to the galaxy. Dr. Peltha, a young Quillos with bright blue skin, looked up excitedly. Dr. Chen! Nix was just showing us how his people hunt. Not to kill, but to teach their young. It is like a game. Sarah nodded. Most predator species use play to teach survival skills. Humans do the same thing with sports and games. Dr. Zenmi, a tall plant being from Chlorophyll Prime, raised a branch-like arm. He also showed us how they take care of their sick. They have healers too, but they work differently than us. Through the mental connection, Nix shared images with Sarah. She saw Void Stalker healers using their telepathic abilities to ease pain and calm fear. They could not perform surgery, but they could help patients mentally and emotionally. That is beautiful, Sarah said. Maybe we can learn from each other. Over the past 6 months, Sarah's new department had achieved incredible success. They had treated patients from 43 previously untreatable species. More importantly, they had trained doctors from 20 different worlds in predator psychology techniques. The key was understanding that aggression and fear were not the same thing. An aggressive creature attacked because it wanted to hurt. A fearful creature attacked because it thought it was in danger. Once doctors learned to tell the difference, they could help both kinds of patients. Dr. Vex High appeared in the doorway. His crystal eyes were bright green, which meant he was excited about something. Sarah, we just received a communication from the Nyx Terran Empire. They want to establish the first Void Stalker medical facility in this sector. They are requesting that you design it and train their doctors. Sarah looked at Nyx, who sent a feeling of pride through their mental connection. His people had seen what happened at the medical station. For the first time in their history, they wanted to work with other species instead of just hunting them. There is more, Dr. Vex High continued. The Galactic Coalition wants to make dangerous species medicine an official field of study. They are asking you to write the training manual. Sarah sat down next to Nyx and scratched behind one of his ears. The huge predator made a sound like purring. What do you think? She asked him. Ready to help change the galaxy? The mental response was immediate and strong. Images of other Void Stalkers working with alien doctors. Pictures of medical stations where no species was turned away because of fear. A future where understanding replaced terror. Dr. Kesra slithered into the room. Sarah, we have 3 more requests for your training program. The rock people of Granite 7 want to learn how to treat lava worms. The ice miners of Frozen Belt need help with frost spiders, and the shell people have been asked to work with electric eels from the storm moon of Jupiter. Sarah laughed. Looks like we are going to be very busy. She stood up and walked to the window that looked out into space. Thousands of ships came and went from the medical station every day, bringing patients from across the galaxy. Before, many of those ships had to turn away if their patients were too dangerous. Now, those same patients were welcomed and healed. Dr. Chen, said Dr. Peltha, the young blue trainee. Can I ask you something? Why did humans develop this ability to understand predators? It seems like it would be easier to just avoid them. Sarah smiled and looked at Nyx, who was listening with interest. Because humans learned something important very early in our history. We learned that the things we fear are often just things we do not understand. And once we understand them, they stop being scary and start being beautiful. She pointed out the window at the busy space around the medical station. Look at all those ships. Each one carries someone who needs help. Some of them are prey species. Some are predators. Some are something in between. But they all feel pain, fear, and hope. They all want to live and be healthy. Nyx stood up and moved to stand beside her at the window. His huge form cast a shadow over the room, but nobody was afraid. The young doctors had learned to see past his fearsome appearance to the intelligent, caring individual underneath. The universe is full of dangerous, beautiful things, Sarah continued. Storms and stars, predators and prey, differences and similarities. Humans learned that the best way to survive in such a universe is not to hide from the dangerous things, but to understand them and find ways to live together. A new ship was approaching the medical station. According to the scanner, it carried a patient that no doctor had ever treated before. A shadow cat from the Void Nebula. These creatures were said to be made of living darkness, impossible to see or touch. Sarah smiled and headed for the door. Well, team. Looks like we have a new challenge. Who wants to help me figure out how to treat a creature made of shadows? Every hand in the room went up. Even Nyx made an eager sound. His yellow eyes bright with curiosity. As they walked toward the medical bay, Sarah thought about how much had changed. 6 months ago, she had been working alone in the small animal wing, treating pets and tiny creatures. Now, she was leading a revolution in galactic medicine. But the best part was not the recognition or the new department. The best part was the look in Nyx's eyes when he saw another scared predator being brought in for treatment. Pride, compassion, and hope. The same emotions that drove human doctors to help anyone who needed it. The galaxy was still full of dangerous things. But now, instead of fearing them, more and more beings were learning to understand them, and understanding, Sarah had discovered, was the first step toward friendship. As they reached the medical bay where their newest patient waited, Sarah felt a warm touch in her mind. It was not just Nyx this time. Through the station's communication system, Void stalkers across the galaxy were sharing their gratitude and respect. The predators had found their pack. And their pack included healers from a small blue world called Earth. The Shadowcat's ship docked, and Sarah Chen, the human who had taught the galaxy that courage and compassion could overcome any fear, walked forward to meet her next patient.